Title: My husband ruined our first vacation in 5 years. I don't think I can forgive him. Okay, I need to get this off my chest because I still feel like I'm gonna explode. I, 29F, just got back from what was supposed to be a dream vacation with my husband, Mark, 31M, and I am so angry, disappointed, and hurt that I don't even know where to begin. Let me give some background. Mark and I have been married for 5 years. 5 years. In that time, we have never gone on a proper vacation together. No honeymoon, money was tight, no weekend getaways, nothing. Life kept getting in the way. His job, my job, family emergencies, unexpected expenses, you name it. And don't get me wrong, I understood. I was patient. I told myself, one day we'll finally get our time. That time was supposed to be this trip. We had been planning for months. A week-long getaway to Santorini, Greece, a place I had been dreaming about since I was a teenager. The blue and white buildings, the sunsets, the food, the absolute vibe of it all. It was supposed to be perfect. We saved up, booked everything. Nice hotel, excursions, reservations at the best restaurants. I spent hours planning outfits, researching the best spots, even brushing up on some Greek phrases. I was so excited. This was finally our moment. And then, ruined it. Red flags. Started before we even left. I should have seen it coming. The night before the trip, I was running around making sure everything was packed, double-checking our itinerary, setting up our house for the pet sitter. Mark? He was lying on the couch, scrolling through his phone saying, "Relax, babe, it's not a big deal." Not a big deal. We hadn't traveled in years. This was literally the first real vacation of our marriage, and he was acting like we were just going to a motel down the street. Fine. Whatever. I brushed it off. Then came the airport disaster. We had an early morning flight, and I asked him the night before, please set an alarm so we don't oversleep. He assured me he would. Guess what? He never set the alarm. We woke up 40 minutes before our flight. I was in full panic mode, throwing clothes on, grabbing our bags. Mark? He took his sweet time, saying, it's not like they're gonna leave without us. Spoiler, they did. We missed our flight. I cried. I literally cried in the airport. He just shrugged and said, we'll catch the next one. Like it was nothing. Like I didn't just spend months planning this. The trip from hell. Once we finally got to Santorini, after spending hundreds rebooking our flights, money we couldn't really spare, I thought, okay, let's just enjoy this. Haha. Guess again. Day 1, Mark needed to rest. He was exhausted from the flight and just wanted to stay in the hotel all day. Fine. I was annoyed, but I let it go. Day 2, I woke up early, ready to explore. I had our itinerary planned, a morning at Red Beach, lunch at a seaside tavern, an afternoon wine tasting, and then a sunset view at Oya. Mark? He refused to get out of bed. He groaned, why do we have to do so much stuff? Can't we just chill? Are you kidding me? We came all the way to Greece, and you just want to lie in bed and scroll through your phone? I begged him to at least come to the beach with me. He finally did, but the entire time, he complained. It's too hot. The sand is annoying. The water is too salty. Salty. By lunchtime, he was visibly pissed that I was making him do things. So he started being difficult, picking fights over small things, making sarcastic comments, completely killing the mood. By the time we got to the sunset in Oya, I wasn't even excited anymore. I just stood there, feeling deflated while he scrolled on his phone, barely looking up. It got worse. The rest of the trip was a disaster. He refused to dress up for dinner, saying he didn't see the point of fancy places. He didn't want to do the boat tour I had booked, saying he wasn't in the mood. I went alone. He literally fell asleep while we were at a beautiful rooftop bar with live Greek music. He got wasted one night, picked a fight with me over something dumb, and embarrassed me in front of strangers. By the last day, I was exhausted. Not from the trip itself, but from him. We flew back home in silence. I didn't even know what to say. The trip I had dreamed about for years had been ruined. The aftermath. Now that we're back, I feel so much resentment towards him. He's acting like nothing happened, like it was just an okay trip, and I want to scream. I don't think he understands how much this meant to me, how long I had been waiting for this, how much I needed this break from our daily grind. And the worst part, I don't think he even cares. I look at him now, and I feel different. I feel like I saw a side of him I can't unsee, a side that doesn't value my happiness, a side that doesn't put in effort. And honestly, I don't know how to move past this. So, am I overreacting? Because right now, I feel like I'll never forgive him. AITAH? Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up. Thank you all for the support. Reading these comments has been eye-opening. A lot of people asked if this is a pattern of behavior, and honestly, yeah. This was just the biggest example of it. But now that I think about it, Mark has always been like this. Lazy, dismissive of things I care about, always acting like I'm overdoing it when I put effort into things. I just never saw it so clearly before. I don't know what my next steps are, but this trip showed me something I can't ignore. I deserve more than this. Update. My husband ruined our first vacation in 5 years, and now I'm seeing him for who he really is. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I read every single response, and I cannot tell you how validating it was. I felt like I was going crazy, like maybe I was overreacting, but seeing so many of you say, no, this is a real issue, helped me more than I can explain. Since that post, I've done a lot of thinking. A lot. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that Santorini wasn't just a bad trip. It was a symptom of a bigger problem. Because the truth is, Mark has always been like this. Now that I've had some distance from the trip, I'm realizing this is who he is. It's not like he suddenly became lazy and dismissive in Greece. He's been like this our entire relationship. I just never saw it so clearly before. Looking back, there were so many red flags. 1, he's never put in effort for anything that matters to me. Santorini wasn't the first time he ruined something important to me. Our wedding? He barely helped plan it, said I was obsessing too much over details, and at the reception, he got drunk and left me to deal with everything. My birthday last year? He bought me a last-minute grocery store cake, said I didn't know what you wanted, and spent the evening watching TV. When I got promoted at work, he didn't even say congratulations, just grunted and changed the subject. I always told myself, that's just how he is. He's not big on celebrations, but now I see it for what it is. He doesn't care. 2, he dismisses my feelings constantly. If I ever bring up something that upsets me, his default response is to minimize it. If I tell him I'm stressed about work, why do you let that stuff bother you so much? If I tell him I feel like he doesn't appreciate me, you're being dramatic. If I tell him I'd like more romance in our relationship, you watch too many movies. This is exactly what he did in Santorini. I told him I was upset, and his response was, you're making a big deal out of nothing. 3, he's always been lazy, especially when it comes to our relationship. I realized something. I do everything in this marriage. I plan the date nights. I organize the holidays. I clean the house. I cook. I manage our social life. I remind him of his own family's birthdays. He just exists. And if I ever stop putting in effort, nothing happens. He doesn't step up. He just lets things fall apart and then acts like it's my fault for not handling them. I am so tired. What I did next, after reading the comments on my post, I realized something. I have 2 choices. 1, stay and accept that this is my life forever. 2, leave and take back my happiness. So I made a decision. I stopped trying. For the past few weeks, I have done exactly what Mark does. I stopped planning date nights, stopped cooking for him, stopped reminding him of things, stopped picking up after him, and guess what? Nothing changed. He didn't suddenly realize how much I do. He didn't step up. He just let the house get messier, let dinner be takeout every night, let the dishes pile up. One night, I looked at him sitting on the couch, watching YouTube, completely unaware that I was done. That's when I knew. I can't do this anymore. 2 weeks ago, I sat Mark down and told him, I'm not happy. I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. His response? He laughed. He laughed. I'm not kidding. He actually chuckled and said, you're being dramatic. I told him, no, I'm serious. I'm done. And that's when he started panicking. He asked, why? I told him everything. How I feel invisible, how he never puts in effort, how he ruined Santorini, but honestly, that was just the final straw. And you know what he said? So you're leaving me over a vacation? No, Mark. I'm leaving you because I finally realized you don't care about me. He tried to argue. He said I was throwing away a good marriage over nothing. He promised he'd do better. He even had the audacity to say, "Come on, babe. We've been together for years. You're not really gonna leave." But the thing is, I already had. My heart wasn't in it anymore. Where I am now. I moved out last weekend. I feel like I can breathe again. I got my own apartment. It's small, but it's mine. I bought fresh flowers for my kitchen table, something Mark would have called a waste of money. I've been going on walks, trying new restaurants, making plans with friends I had lost touch with. I feel light. Mark still doesn't believe it's real. He keeps texting me saying I just need time to cool down, that we can work it out. But the truth is, I don't want to. For the first time in years, I'm thinking about myself. And it feels so good. Final thoughts. If there's anything I've learned from this, it's this. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. If you're the only one making an effort, you're in a one-sided relationship. Love is not enough. You need respect, effort, and partnership. I wasted too many years waiting for Mark to wake up and be a better man. But now, I'm finally awake myself. And I'm never going back. AITAH, divorced and happy, #self-worth.
My husband sabotaged my first vacation in 30 years because he couldn't stand me being happy. Hey Reddit, I don't even know where to start. I feel like I've been living in a gilded cage for over 3 decades, and when I finally got a taste of freedom, my husband did everything in his power to ruin it. I need to vent, and maybe, just maybe, I need to hear that I'm not crazy for feeling the way I do. A life put on hold. My name is Lisa, I'm 52 years old, and I have been married to Greg, 55M, for the past 32 years. We met in college, fell in love, and got married right after graduation. Back then, I was a bright, ambitious young woman with big dreams. I had a job I loved, working in marketing, and a solid group of friends who had been with me since college. Then I had kids. Greg convinced me, begged me, to be a stay-at-home mom. He told me, "Lisa, I want our children to have the best childhood possible. A mother's presence is everything." He made it sound so beautiful, like staying home was the ultimate act of love. And, well, I did love my kids. I wanted to give them the best. So, I left my career. The years blurred into diapers, PTA meetings, home-cooked meals, and soccer practices. Meanwhile, Greg flourished. His career soared, promotions, business trips, raises. He got to be successful while I became just a mother. I told myself it was worth it, that I'd go back to work when the kids were older. Then, at 42, when my youngest turned 18, I started talking about going back to work. Greg got me pregnant. It was unexpected. He swore it was an accident. I cried when I saw the test. He comforted me, told me, "It'll be beautiful, Lisa. We'll do it all over again. You love being a mom." And just like that, my plans were delayed again. At 52, when my youngest turned 10, I started talking about work again. Greg got me pregnant again. This time, I knew. I knew it wasn't an accident. I had an IUD. He had always been in charge of my doctor's appointments. He must have had it removed without telling me. I was furious. I told him this was it. This baby was my last. I was going back to work no matter what. Then, I miscarried. It was the worst pain of my life. I had carried that baby for 5 months. I had already started imagining a future with them. And then, just like that, they were gone. Greg and I grieved together, but something in me broke. The invitation that changed everything. A few months later, I got a message in our old college group chat. My best friends, Hannah, Claire, and Denise were planning a trip to Cancun for 7 days. They wanted to cheer me up. These women were my sisters. We had worked together for years before I quit to be a stay-at-home mom. They had stayed by my side through everything, and now they were offering me a lifeline. Greg hated the idea. "Why do you need a vacation? I thought you wanted to spend time together? Lisa, we just went through a loss. Shouldn't we grieve together?" For the first time in my life, I stood my ground. "I need this, Greg. I need to breathe." He sulked for weeks, making snide comments about neglecting the family and abandoning him. When I finally booked my ticket, he stopped speaking to me altogether. The trip he tried to ruin. The night before my flight, Greg suddenly came down with the worst flu of his life. He was coughing, groaning, acting like he was on his deathbed. "Lisa, I don't think I'll survive if you leave." I almost canceled, but Claire told me, "Lisa, if you stay home, he wins. He doesn't want you to have this. Go." So I went. The first day in Cancun was bliss. The sun, the beach, the laughter. I felt alive for the first time in decades. Then, Greg started calling, and calling, and calling. The first time, he said, "Lisa, the house is a mess. I don't know where anything is." The second time, "Lisa, the kids are asking for you. They miss you." The third time, "Lisa, I think I have food poisoning. I might need to go to the hospital." I panicked, ready to book a flight home. But then I called my daughter. "Mom, he's fine. He ordered pizza and he's watching TV." He was faking it, so I turned off my phone for the rest of the day. Then he got creative. He canceled my credit card. I found out at dinner when my card declined. Hannah had to pay for my meal. I checked my banking app and my accounts were frozen. Claire immediately called her husband, a lawyer. Within an hour, he had unlocked my funds. But it wasn't over. Greg called my hotel, telling them I had a family emergency and needed to leave. They almost kicked me out until Claire showed proof that I had paid for the full week. That night, I got an email from Greg. "Lisa, I don't know who you are anymore. You've changed. You're acting selfish, and I don't recognize the woman I married. If you don't come home, I don't know if our marriage will survive this." For the first time in 32 years, I felt free. I realized I didn't care if my marriage survived. The aftermath. When I got home, I didn't unpack. I walked straight to Greg and said, "I want a divorce." He laughed in my face. "Lisa, don't be ridiculous. You wouldn't survive without me." But this time, I had a plan. Claire's husband helped me find a lawyer. The house? I had contributed just as much over the years. The money? I wasn't as helpless as Greg thought. It took 6 months, but I got half of everything. Now? I live in a cozy apartment by the beach. I got a part-time job in marketing just to get back into the field. My kids support me. And Greg? He's miserable. He calls, begs, pleads. But I finally see him for what he is, a man who never wanted me to be happy. So Reddit, tell me, was I wrong for leaving? Reading the comments, and oh boy, Reddit did not hold back. All right, Reddit, I see you. I was up until 3 a.m. last night scrolling through the comments, and some of y'all had me laughing, crying, and screaming into my pillow. Let's get into it. Comment number 1. Your husband literally used reproduction as a weapon to pin you down. And the fact that he got you pregnant at 52? Pregnancy is dangerous at that age. He didn't care about your health at all, just about keeping you under his thumb. I'm sick to my stomach. This right here. I read this out loud and had to sit in silence for a solid minute. Because you're right, it was never about the kids, it was about control. When I found out I was pregnant at 52, I went into shock. The risks? Through the roof. I knew it. My doctor knew it. Greg didn't care. He would smile and say, "Lisa, think of how special this is. A miracle baby at our age." But what about me? What about my body, my health? He didn't care about the toll it would take on me, only about keeping me stuck. I ignored the red flags for so long, but looking back, it's disgusting how he treated my body like it was his property. Comment number 2. Your friends are the absolute best. After 30 years, they still reached out to you. This is why we should always maintain a healthy community with fellow women. Women supporting women is so powerful. I sobbed reading this. You have no idea how much I had convinced myself that I had no one, that after all these years my friendships had faded, but they never left me. The moment I got that message from Claire, it was like someone had reached through the phone and shaken me awake. These women, they saved me. They reminded me who I was. So, if you're reading this and thinking about reaching out to an old friend, do it. Life is long, and real friendships don't die. Comment number 3. At some point in your marriage, did you ever reveal to him that you were unhappy and unfulfilled staying home all the time? Did you ever communicate your ambitions with him? Yes, I did. And every single time, he had a reason why I should stay home. Lisa, the kids need you. Lisa, the house would fall apart without you. Lisa, it's too late to go back. Who's going to hire you? And when I pushed, when I said, Greg, I'm serious. I want this. That's when the pregnancies happened. It was never an accident. It was never coincidence. He knew exactly what he was doing. And I let him win for too long, but not anymore. Comment number 4. Oh, you poor thing. Miscarriages are dreadful. It must have been because of all the stress you were under and the betrayal you felt. This one broke me. Because in my heart, I know the stress killed my baby. The moment I miscarried, I knew it wasn't just bad luck. I had been living in constant anxiety, carrying years of resentment, feeling like I was suffocating inside my own life. My body gave up before my mind did. The worst part? Greg acted like it was his grief that mattered most. Lisa, we lost our baby. But the truth? I lost myself long before that. Comment number 5. Can we talk about how he canceled your credit card while you were on vacation? That's psychotic behavior. Oh, trust me, we can talk about it. This man really said, if I can't stop her from going, I'll make her suffer while she's there. Who does that? I will never forget the humiliation I felt when my card declined at dinner. If it weren't for Claire's husband, I would have been stranded in a foreign country. That was the final straw. That's when I knew this wasn't just about control anymore. This was punishment. And guess what, Greg? You lost. Comment number 6. Girl, tell me you took at least one petty revenge move before leaving him. Just one. I need to know. All right. You want a petty revenge story? Here's one. After the divorce was finalized, I sold his prized vintage car, the one he spent years fixing up, the one he swore he'd pass down to our son one day. Sold it for $500. And guess what I did with the money? I took myself on another vacation to Cancun, stayed in the same hotel, drank the same cocktails, and sent a picture to our old college group chat with the caption, "Best trip of my life. No one sabotaged it this time." Final thoughts. Reading these comments has been overwhelming, but also healing. For so long, I believed I was selfish for wanting more, that I was ungrateful for resenting my life. But you all see me. You see what I went through. And for the first time in decades, I feel validated. So, to everyone who commented, thank you. From the bottom of my heart. And to the women reading this who feel trapped, listen to me. You don't have to stay. You don't have to wait 30 years to take your life back. Because if I can start over at 52, so can you. And trust me, it feels damn good.